Hello, I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to be Tuesday. Uh, this movie confused, annoyed, and confused me again. We're talking Clifford, and it ain't about no big red dog. It's a 1994 comedy starring Charles Grodin, Mary Steenburgen, and Martin Short. Now, the reason I wanted to review this is because I remember seeing commercials for this playing on Disney Channel back in the day. And I always thought it was odd that Martin Short was playing a child. But I thought perhaps, that, it's some kind of explanation like Jack, like he had a glandular problem or something, and he growing too fast or something. I was not prepared for what this movie was going to give me because so I didn't know what to expect. But strangely, we start off with this storybook thing. I'm like, okay, interesting. And then we have old Martin Short, Martin Short in old makeup, talking to Corey Matthews from Boy Meets World about being a troubled youth. This is a wraparound that we need for some reason. Apparently, this was done post production because this was originally filmed in 1990 for a 1991 release, but it did not come out in 91. Instead, it came out in 94, and so they edited the movie together with this wraparound. That now that I know that this is a wraparound filmed after the fact, I am more confused about the ending of this movie, but we'll get to it. So he is telling the story of how bad of a kid he was, and that's when we flash back to he's on a plane with his parents, the father of which is played by Richard Kind. Sorry, itch. Richard Kind, and so I'm watching this and I'm waiting for the explanation as to why he looks like a 40-year-old man, but he's playing a 10-year-old. I'm waiting for the explanation, but I am watching this movie for 10 minutes, and not one person asks, why does he look like that? Why does he look 40? No one's asking. And I start to realize they're playing this straight. Martin Short is legitimately supposed to be a 10-year-old. Why? Well, I decided to do a little research, and apparently, as this was filming for 1990 for 1991, there were those who were concerned that it would draw comparisons to another comedy similar to this, Problem Child. So, at the request of the director or someone requested that they use Martin Short as to play a child, a 40-year-old man. Yes, in 1990, Martin Short was 40 years old. A 40-year-old man playing a 10-year-old child. All the other actors had to stand on soapboxes in order to appear as if he is smaller. Now, they wanted to do this so they didn't draw a comparison to Problem Child. But it's still pretty much Problem Child without the happy ending. We'll get to it. I think, I don't know. It's... Another one of those movies where something pisses off Charles Grodin. That's basically what it is. And I have a big problem with Martin Short in this movie. Now, Martin Short is a fantastic actor. He's known for playing characters. Now, this whole thing with him being an adult playing a child is good for an SNL sketch or an SCTV sketch. For an hour and a half movie, no. The issue of using an adult to play a child is that the child actor brings some sort of endearment to it. You're looking at this kid pulling this stuff, and it's funny because it's a little kid doing this stuff. But in this movie, it's a 40-year-old grown-ass man pretending to be a kid doing this, and that's not funny. It's disturbing, and it doesn't... I don't know. All the stuff that he does to his Uncle Martin, and yes, his uncle's name is Martin, and Martin Short is... I don't know. I keep thinking when this happens, it would be funny if it was an actual kid doing this. And I know, like I said, they didn't want to draw a comparison. But change the script or something. I don't know. I don't even know why you needed to change to have Martin Short be the kid. Just cast a kid, because here's the situation. All right? You're still going to draw comparisons. It's just not, oh, it's like Problem Child, but with an adult playing the kid. That's all it's going to do now, is change it a little bit. And I don't understand what the big deal is, because movies come out and then there's a bunch of copycats, right? Right? Usually there's mockbusters about it. Sharknado came out, there's a whole bunch of other ones. Cocaine Bear came out, a whole bunch of one of those. The Crack Gator or some shit. Crack Coon. I don't know. Like Gremlins came out, and a whole bunch of Hobgoblins and Munchie and all those creature movies, Ghoulies. They came out after Gremlins made those little, E.T. came out. You had Mac and Me, right? I'm just saying. Jaws came out, and you had movies like Orca and stuff like that. There's going to be movies that are like that. Let it draw a comparison, because you pretty much would do that anyway, right? I don't know. I like Martin Short, but his performance is good. I just kept thinking how much better this movie would be if it was an actual kid in the role, because it just comes across a little bit creepy, especially during the scenes. Like, some people might think, oh, it's better when the kid hits on the older lady because it's an adult doing it. No, that makes it creepier, because then that's a kid that looks like a 40-year-old man hitting on the possible step aunt. So because of his antics, by the way, he almost crashes the damn plane they're on. Because of this, he's banned from the plane, but the parents still want to go to Hawaii. So they call Charles Grodin, who is the uncle, to take care of him. And Charles Grodin so happens to be wanting to marry this woman named Sarah, played by Mary Steenburgen, and he's to convince her that he wants to have kids. I bet after this movie he's going to cut his testicles off. Because I really don't know. Because he bought this house that's a one-bedroom house, and so she thinks he doesn't want to have kids. And yeah, I don't... Itch. And he's also, he is an architect, and he's building this freeway thing. Very important thing for him. Clifford's one big thing he wants to do is to go to Dinosaur World, which so happens that Uncle Martin helped build Dinosaur World, so he has unlimited access to it. I'm sorry, I'm just very itchy today. Sensitive skin and all. So he promises to take Clifford to Dinosaur World, but the next day, as they're getting ready to go, his boss, played by Dabney Coleman, with more than just a mustache or facial hair and wearing different wigs. He's got a hairpiece and later he's got like a ponytail hairpiece thing. But tells him, nah, you got to redo this whole thing because I don't like how this goes. So now he's got to redo that, but Clifford doesn't understand that because he's supposed to be a child, and he said, you promised, then because he broke his promise, Clifford puts together a recording and phones in a bomb threat saying that it was Martin who was going to blow up City Hall. Yeah. But that leads to a dinner party for Sarah's, it's like anniversary party for her parents or something. And there's a bunch of pranks there. Like, you keep seeing Martin get chapstick out, and Clifford twitches it with lipstick. There's also a gag where he steals a bunch of other people's stuff, including a dog that disappears after one scene. I don't know, that could have been editing, I don't know. Even when the plane's about to crash, it cuts back to old Clifford talking to Corey Matthews, and he's like, oh, what a story. I'm not done yet. Why did you cut back to that? Just keep it going. Why? I don't know. And it's at this party he gets arrested by the cops and taken in. There is a funny scene where he's sitting there, he goes, this is an interrogation? It's not an interrogation. We have the confession on the thing. And so that, okay, I don't know what the technology they could use to put voice clips together existed in 1990, which I'm taking is when this takes place. It came out in 1994 and still. I don't know how that exists, but it wouldn't sound all cohesive like it's, I don't know. And so the funny part is when he's like, it's not an interrogation, why you have that blinding light on me? So they turn it down, and in his own way, he goes, well, now I can't see anything. And so he's like, oh, no, it's my answering machine. I'll call my house and you'll see. So he calls it, and now Clifford has changed it. Hi, my Uncle Martin can't come to the phone right now. I tell you why, but or something like that. And that's when he figures out that Clifford did it. And he's let go and doesn't tell Sarah the truth. Instead, he says that it was his friend who called on a prank, and the two cops were his friend's cousins. And then, as Sarah leaves to go on a job, or she's going out of town for something, and so he takes Clifford, and he really mad at him, and so Clifford leaves and says he's going to go to San Francisco, but when Martin gets there, he gets on the train, and the train takes off, and then Clifford dances off like he's psychotic, I guess, singing a song about San Francisco. And then when Martin, eventually in San Francisco, because that's where Sarah went, calls the house, there's some kind of party there. And we find out that Clifford made a deal with these guys to take him to Dinosaur World if he let him have a party. But that doesn't happen. Instead, he ties himself up to make it look like people invaded the house or something. But while Martin is in San Francisco, he spots Dabney Coleman and Sarah, and he's hitting on her. But Martin confronts her about it and says it's not like that, it's just a gift from the company and blah, blah, blah. There's weird editing here. Because, they get in an argument, he takes off, and then I think it goes to him getting back home and finding Clifford tied up. He tied himself up. And it smash cuts to Mary Steenburgen, or Sarah, in the car with Dabney Coleman, and he's trying to force himself on her. And you find out that Clifford was right, he does have a hairpiece. I don't want a hairpiece. where did this, and why would it, if he had to take the train back, why would it still be the same night? Wouldn't it be the next morning by the time he got there? And what kind of train is that late at night? There's editing issues here. So, Martin, and all this stuff has happened to Martin has to make his demonstration. So, I guess he did some work because he takes it in and, Sarah shows up and gets in an argument again because he calls Sarah and tells her what happened. And Sarah shows up. Well, he lies to her. Clifford does. And she takes him away because she thinks that Martin did this. But he tries to explain it. And he even tries to explain the whole situation with the cops. And says that it was Clifford that did it. But she doesn't believe him. And so they've pretty much broken up. But she takes Clifford away. And so Martin goes in to present his presentation, and it blows up, which gets him fired. Yeah. And this is where he snaps. He goes to Sarah's house, kidnaps Clifford, and takes him to Dinosaur World after hours, and puts him on this ride, which at first he enjoys, until he puts it into hyperspeed, which apparently is a speed you could have on a roller coaster. But that damages the thing, and so Clifford's about to fall into a dinosaur, so hesitantly, Martin saves him. But when Clifford tries to thank him, he's like, no. I'm sorry. No, I'm not taking your apology. And that's where it ends. Because it cuts back to old Clifford with Ben Savage, with Corey Matthews, as I'm calling him. His name is Roger, but he's Corey Matthews to me. And he's like, oh, well, what happened? Well, I wrote him over 100 letters apologizing, but he never read them. He just sent them back. But eventually, I got invited to the wedding, and my uncle forgave me. And they show footage of this. But my question is, if all this was edited afterwards, what was the original ending? As a natural conclusion for a movie like this would be him forgiving him, or something brings them together, or he realizes something. I don't know, but there's really no coming back from this because, well, there's a line where he's like, "What do you think that you'll get for kidnapping me?" Or, "Oh, Uncle Most Wanted," or something. Uncle 10 Most Wanted. He's like, "Life. Oh, life." So, don't you think he'd be arrested? Or maybe there wasn't charges placed? I don't know. I really don't know. At no point in this film is there an attempt made to endear Clifford to the audience. There's got to be a point in the movie they make this kid so bad that there's really no redemption for him. Yet they play it off that there is. Like, he learned the error of his ways because of this. We are told that. We do see a little bit of stuff, but even in the scene where he says his uncle forgive him, the look on Charles Grodin's face is like, "Yeah, I forgive you, you little shit." It's not really it is a forgiveness. It's just like he was forced to do it by Sarah so they could get married. It's what it seems like. But there's no real conclusion to this. There's no real... Maybe that's editing. I don't know. But it doesn't work. It doesn't. So I'd have to say that Clifford is just not worth your time. This bombed, and I can see why. There are people that could find it funny if you just want a spiteful comedy and it's full of hate. That's what it is. There's really no positive to anything that happens in this. Clifford does not deserve forgiveness. There's no good side to Clifford in this. Even when he's trying to talk, I can see why they tried to kind of rectify the situation with these, post-production reshoots or whatever. to try to make it more endearing, because there really wasn't. If they didn't have these in here, there wouldn't really be any. I don't know what kind of conclusion there would be, but that he said eventually he was forgiven, and so that's less than he's teasing Corey Matthews about not being a bad kid. But I don't know, it just doesn't work. So I would say that it's not worth your time. Let's see what the next movie is going to be. Probably I'll do it tomorrow, but you'll see it in a week. So Heathers. All right. So, what are your thoughts on Clifford? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.